friends and anyone that you love to stay tuned around March, because I'm going to breeze through this year, and I expect to have some brand new, I hate to say it, but brand new Moors. We're going to create a nation of Moors right here in Detroit, and we're going to come under the Ouachita Olmec, and I have to add Umasi, Ouachita, Umasi, and Moors. It's all going to be hooked up. We'll talk about it as we progress, and we're going to do it because the more I study, the more I see where we need to found, F-O-U-N-D, found a whole new process. We need to cleanse ourselves. What did Louis Farrakhan called it when he went to the Million Man March? We need to cleanse ourselves to this thing and understand what it's all about. And we need to move forward as a unit. And I'm going to do all I can to give you all the information that you need in order to do this thing. Okay? Now, next Saturday, not tomorrow, but the 7th of February, 2015, Ron March will be at the Truth Bookstore on, it's actually in the Northland Mall. Store number is 799. It's called the Truth Bookstore. It's in Southfield. There will be a lecture, a 2-hour lecture, and we're going to talk about the alternatives of black history. I have found, I'm sure that you have found a lot of flaws in your history that you were taught in school. And a lot of you were probably afraid or reluctant to question it because the teacher would grade you on your activity in classroom. So I always question it. All that crap they come up with, I would always jump dead on it. And by doing that, I stayed in trouble. So, got bad grades. They began to grade me. Because if something didn't seem right, I would ask. But they would say, well, I was just too young to know, too ignorant to understand, or just dumb and didn't know it. We did it last week. All kind of ways to belittle me to stop disrupting the class. But now that I'm older and an adult and looking at this trash, the way they taught it to us, I have discovered that our one of the major lacks that we have in our knowledge, we all lack knowledge, but one of the major components of this lack of knowledge is our history. And I believe if our story, rather than his story, our story, Black History, the alternative to Black Our Story Month, I should cross that out. My wife told me I should do that. It's kind of late, but I will change it when I go online and remind you. I can cross out his and put in our story. Okay? But I want you to all understand that we are in a tremendous trap. And if we don't understand that we're in a trap, we'll never get out of it. I had a conversation with a young boy. He was so angry, so upset. I had to wait until he cooled off, screaming at me, trying to explain his hatred for the system and the European. And I tried to slow him down. I slowed him down, finally got him to slow down. And I told him, you're putting all your energy in the wrong area of this madness. All you have to do is study self. You don't need to worry about the system, the Negroes, the niggas, the boulets, the Negro pundits, the superstars, civil rights all-stars. You don't need to worry about them. What you need to worry about is who are you? And study yourself. And as you do that, things will begin to fall in place. Well, I'm not sure that he bought it, but I'm going to have him on my show next Tuesday. He's out of Alabama. Duck Wylam is his call name. He's on Black Talk Radio. His name is Duck Wylam. And he's been on the air about 3 years, 2 or 3 years. He's got some cool hearts. He got some partners down there that broadcast with him. And he picked up on one of my shows, and it was kind of interesting to him. And so he wanted to know if I would, could he come on my show or would I go on his show, that type of thing. So I decided that since Tuesday is my 7 o'clock startup time, I will start my show on Tuesday. He will call in about 7:45 to 8, which would be 9 o'clock their time. No. I would start my show at 8 o'clock. There you go. And he would call in about 8:45. He's 1 hour behind me. I better call him up. Well, I'm going to put it on my website. My website, and I'm going to put it right here on my talk radio. I'm going to touch bases again and get that time thing, because we have had problems with the time factor, and we want to make sure we clear it up. Because the brother's got some good issues, and he's got good people that listen to him down there, and I would like to put my 2 cents into the debate, the argument, or whatever the case may be. So I told him, just come on in. I'm not going to give you, we're not going to be on an agenda. Whatever you want to know, ask me, and we'll go from there. I love that type of show. I don't want to set it up to give me 8 or different questions to ask and that type of thing. No. Ron Marsh don't work like that. You call in and ask anything you want to ask, and we'll go from there. Okay. Now, today I'm on Talk Radio, and the call-in number for Talk Radio is 718-506-1864. 718-506-1864. Now, that number you can get in, and you can listen by just calling in. But if you want to speak, you push 1, and I'll see it on my board. I got a dashboard, they call it, right here in front of me. And when I see that and time permits, I will bring you in, and we'll see what you got on your mind, that type of thing. It works pretty good. I've had some success with it. And I'm building my audience. I'm building my viewers. You can see me live right now if you go to ronmarch.com. ronmarch.com, and then look at the top. Across the top, it'll say Ron March Live. And you can go directly to my mugshot. I'm right there looking at you, just like you'll see me like I am right now. And we go that route. So I have some people that like to look at it as I speak. Others can listen on the internet, or you can listen on the telephone if you have to go out or get in the car or make a roll, that type of thing. All that is good. I really enjoy it. All of that is good. Now, my schedule is Tuesdays at 8 o'clock, Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, and Saturdays at 4 o'clock, all Eastern Standard Time. All Eastern Standard Time. Now, Wednesdays, we really have an enjoyable evening on Wednesdays, because what we do on Wednesdays, we a simulcast with a young lady here in Detroit named Beverly D. Some of you know, I understand she's been on the air for quite a while. She got a hell of a listening audience, Beverly D. And what we do She interviews me. I bring in a topic, or if she's got a topic, but normally I put out a topic, and we go from there. And we've been having some very good success on that. So that's a date that you should try and get to. So that makes it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Ron Marks is on the air. Next Saturday, which is the 8th of February, I'll be giving a live lecture, 8th of February, the alternative to Black History Month. And I have a lot of information. I don't think I'll be able to get it all out in 2 hours, but I think I can do it if I pass out flyers, not flyers per se, but pass out leaflets so that you can take it home with you, because I'm going to speed through a lot of information. And the crux of this alternative to Black history is it's a simple alternative. You just got to make up in your mind that everything you know is not true. Everything you've been taught by this European in these so-called public schools is a barefaced lie. They used a trick, and let me see if I can bring that up. They're using a trick that I discovered. It's called revisionism. There you go. Revisionism. And revisionism is the art of, really, the art of persuasion, but it's easily the art of changing history. Changing history. And it's a skill. It's a skill. Now listen to this definition, and maybe it'll help you. Historical revisionism is historical. They use a word that I've never heard before. Historiography. Historiography. Historiography is what they call it. In historiography, historical revisionism is the listen to these words, reinterpretation of orthodox views on evidence, motivations, and decisions-making processes surrounding a historical event. In other words, you're going to be a spin doctor. That's voodoo, spin doctor. And they call it, never heard this word before, historiography. Historiography. I'm going to look that up separately and then see what kind of definition they give. It's a historical revisionism in the reinterpretation of orthodox views on evidence, motivations, and decision-making processes surrounding a historical event. Though the word revisionism is sometimes used in a negative way, constant revision of history is part of the normal scholarly process of writing history. Good God Almighty. We had a good brother here in Detroit that passed a couple of years ago, Brother Bobby L. I really miss that brother. He would really love this presentation today on this revisionism, because he always said, and most heavyweights that understand Moorish history will tell you, number one, the European does not have a story. That's why they call it his story, because he creates it. His history is defunct. He's never done anything worthwhile. Think about it. Most of them don't even know where they come from. Some of them may get bold and tell you they came from the monkey, which they did. or they may come out of that caveman piece. You dig? But when it comes to us, we have always been here. We are the Alpha and the Omega. You never heard a European say that. We are the beginning and the end. No matter what they do to us, we will always be here. That's godlike. They know that's why they hate us, because they will die out in a minute. They have never increased the population. They've been 10%. They was put in here at 10%, and they stay at 10%. They're not a part of the population explosion. And that's why they always talk about a genocide, because the populations now in different countries and different parts of the world are too huge for them to control. So their decision, coming from that mentality, caveman mentality, is to kill them off. And they have programs, multitudes of programs in place right now. They have them in place right now to eliminate people of color. I read in that, what they call it, PNAC. What does PNAC stand for? You can look it up. PNAC, they call it PNAC. I read in PNAC 2000. I read in that PNAC 2000, it was said, they gave us a label, useless eaters. That would be a beautiful word for you to look up. Just research that word, useless eaters, and they would probably talk about PNAC, because they made it clear in the pamphlet. It was a little booklet that they put together, that if they could figure out how to kill all people of color without being caught, they would have done it yesterday. They've said, for give you an example of the broadness of their ignorance, they have said, not me, they have said that there's enough food in Texas and enough growth of food in Texas to feed the world. And yet we have people all over the world dying of hunger. There's enough water in the 5 lakes, Great Lakes, to supply the earth with water for another 50 years or more. And they have there are wars going on today over water, drinking water. We're dealing with a monster, a creature that has no soul, no heart, no conscience. And it's not for us to eliminate him, because we didn't put him here. It's for the Creator to deal with it. And I heard a brother, one of them heavyweight brothers, I think it was Yusuf, or was it Jonah Bey? No, it was Yusuf Bey. I think it was him. Anyway, the comment was made that the only way to get out of this madness, we need divine invention. I've said that 5-10 years ago. When I look down the road to our salvation, we need some real, show enough divine invention. And it's not going to come in on a horse now. Let's don't get your feet off the ground, go in that Christian bull crap. Divine invention can come in a lot of ways. One of the best ways is collapse Wall Street. You know, ain't nobody riding in here for that. Their ignorance does that. That's why they stopped talking about it, but they used to talk quite a bit about Rome when it was a dynasty. It was destroyed from within because of the ignorance. We're on that same path of United States collapsing. And I hate to say we, but the United States is on that path of collapsing from within. They're feeding it 24/7. It's like a Frankenstein. He's laying on the slab blinking. He's still alive, but he can't get up off the slab. And they keep pumping all this, as Malcolm would say, Novocaine and all these drugs in him to try and make him not feel the pain. But they can't get him to stand up. That's where the economy of America is today. I call that divine invention. Yes, I do. It's only their greed that caused it, and they don't know how to back off. They don't have a light in the tunnel. Anytime you hear a European whining about the economy or whining about America going down the tube, just ask him, is there a light in the tunnel? Has anyone been, who's working on putting United States back on the map? You don't even hear them talk like that anymore. They need war. They need tools to keep pumping this Novocaine in this monster on the slab, the so-called free enterprise system. Yes, they do. But this revisionism, I love it. I don't know how I got it, but I got it. Revisionism. And this word, let me look at it again. I like to say it once I get going. I don't have to stop. Historicography. There you go. Historicography. Yes. Sometimes used in a negative way. Revision history carries both positive and negative connotations. Each has its own entry. Historical revisionism, the reinterpretation of orthodox views. Why would they say orthodox views? We know orthodox is like the Orthodox Church. Christian views on evidence, motivations, and decision-making processes surrounding a historical event. Boy, this is scary. Historical revisionism or negationism. Negation. Listen to these words. Negationism. Either legitimate, scholastic, or re-examination of existing knowledge about an historical event, or the illegitimate distortion of the historical record such that certain events appear in a more or less favorable light, or alternatively in a particular bad light. This is where I got the idea of the alternative to black history. When I go back in history, I record it the way it was. And that's how we can figure out how we're in this hocus pocus trick bag. You know, if I can't get it quick, if I can't snatch it up here quick, if I got it, I'll get it after break. Gotta be here. Here it is. But there is a article, or it is an amendment. Not sure, but if I got there, it is. It's Article 4, wherever it is. Let me see. Article 4, Section 2. Yes. All right. Listen to this. This is one of the 10 first articles of the Constitution are called the Bill of Rights. This is in the Bill of Rights. It's Article 4, Section 2. The citizen of each state shall be entitled to all the privileges and immunities of citizens of every state. It means that each state, whatever the laws are in each state, you have a right to exercise those laws. They can't have a set of laws in Illinois and another set of laws completely different, or not even completely, another set of laws in Michigan. You know, if stealing the car is bad in Illinois, stealing the car is bad in Michigan. Okay. But dig this. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which it fled, or he fled, or she fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. No person held in service or labor in one state under the laws thereof of that state, escaping into another, shall, in coincidence of any law of the regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on the claim of the party of whom such service or labor may be due. Now, I'm going to repeat that. I'm not going to read it because you know I can't read. But I'm going to repeat what it is. It's Article 4, Section 2. Article 4, Section 2. What they did, Lincoln, that filthy Lincoln, that stankin' Lincoln, that bastard, that they made us revere, worship. Best president ever was. He freed us. Nigga, please. Get out of here. Punk ain't freed nobody but white people. He's a bastard. His mammy was black. His pappy was white. He passed for white. He was a mulatto. Stankin' Lincoln. That's what I'm talking about. Dirty heart. Punk. Ooh, I wish I could cuss a little better, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get your attention so you'll go back and check what I'm saying. He used the Fourth Amendment to revitalize or to create the Fugitive Act. This baby was instituted, the Articles of Confederation, the Bill of Rights. They got a date. They got a date. Article 7. I do not see a date, but there is a date. It's in the 1780s, somewhere along in there, when they passed these acts. Okay? Articles. Here's my point. Fugitive Act. When I told you that if a slave breaks away from a plantation, since slavery was legal for Negroes, I've already discovered. I'll get to that in a minute. But Negroes, it was a law that said you could put a Negro in slavery. And guess what? They used a court case to create the law that Negroes, hear me clear, Negroes, they differentiate between mulatto, Indian, Moor, Jew. All of these are non-whites. They differentiate all of these individuals from the Negro. Oh, help me, somebody. Help me. Help me, somebody. Let me drop this down. I dropped that out. Oh, man. This history is so eye-awakening that it really makes you, I love to study it. Because I'm going to read you something here in a minute. Here we go. I have a list of dates, and I'm going to deal with that momentarily. If I asked the question, I would do it in my class. Can anyone tell me within 100 years, when were the 13 colonies founded? Within 50 years. Let's go that route. Oh, you don't know the specifics, and I'm not asking for the specifics, but what century were the 13 colonies founded? Out of my ignorance, because I never checked it. So don't you think that I'm trying to front you with this information. I'm trying to educate you, because I was dumb as a doornail. Within the last 6 months to a year, I didn't know this. 13 colonies was founded in 1600. So if they were founded in 1600, somebody's got to ask the left-handed question, where was the black king? Where was the Negro, colored, black, mulatto, Indian, Jew? I'm getting ready to give you all the names. Where were they at? If you take their history and see what they did, they didn't want you to read, because if you start reading, you'll see the lies that they've been teaching us. So since they got you out of reading, they could revisit history and make it be what they wanted it to be. That's where that revisionism comes from. I'm going to read you an act, ACT, from the laws of Virginia. And the king at the time was King George, and the year was 1748, before 1776, month October the 22nd. Now, this was an act that was on the books. It says, and be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, that no Negro, mulatto, or Indian, or all throw Christian, or any Jew, Moor, Mohammedan, or other infidels shall at any time purchase any Christian servant for Christian servant. Where we at? Whew. Yep, Christian servant. Nor any other except of their own complexion, or such as by the act are declared slaves, and if any of the persons aforesaid shall nevertheless presume to purchase a Christian white servant, Lord help us. They differentiated. Remember, I kept telling you, the color line was a problem. They never told you this. The color line was a problem. And up here where it says Christian, I thought it was a misspelling for Christian, but now I see it's not. I got to look that up. Christion. Christian. But you cannot purchase any Christian servant. Now, they spell Christian correct. At any time, nor any other except of their own complexion, or such as by this act are declared slaves. And if any of the persons aforesaid shall nevertheless presume to purchase a Christian white slave, such as servant shall immediately become free and be so held, deemed and taken. And if any person having such Christian servant shall marry with a Negro, mulatto, Indian, Jew, Moor, Mohammedan, or other infidel, such servants shall thereupon become freed from all service then due to such master or mistress. Oh, brother, man, what the hell is going on here? The purpose of this was to prove, going back to the top, the purpose was to prove that Moors were on this land and not considered black people, as our noble prophet, Noble Drew Ali, has declared. And we're in 1748. There was no black people. They mentioned the word complexion, not colored people. They said complexion. And they differentiated between all of the so-called inhabitants of the time, and that the Christian was the one that stuck out to have the rights. Could not marry him, could not become a servant. And they mentioned, just for persons, because you never see the word Moors. This was an act from the laws of Virginia. Why were the laws of Virginia important? Okay. I had it. Here we go. The laws of Virginia were important because the law Virginia Company, which would be the 13th colony, was the first. The Virginia Company refers collectively to a joint stock company chartered by James I on the 10th of April, 1606. So Virginia was founded, the Company of Virginia. Now remember, we're talking 13 colonies. Virginia was the first. One of the Carolinas, was it Plymouth? Let me see here. I believe I got a list of all the colonies and when they became colonies and or when they became companies. And they were using, for the land territory, they were using parallel, 34th parallel and the 41st parallel, where they had a contract or charter to operate in that area only. So Virginia was the first colony, and it was founded in 1606 with the purpose of establishing settlements on the coast of North America. The two companies called the Virginia Company of London, or the London Company, and the Virginia Company of Plymouth. Two companies, all under the title name Virginia, operated with identical charters, but with differing territories, an area of overlapping the territories because of the parallel, 31st parallel and the 41st parallel. But they could not, let me see, I know that an area overlapping territories was created within which the two companies were not permitted to establish colonies within 100 miles of each. The Plymouth Company never fulfilled its charter, and its territory that later became New England was at the time also claimed by England. We're back in 1600, ladies and gentlemen. Everything they've taught us is a lie. It ain't ass backwards. They had to fix it to put them on top. We never challenged it. We now worship them as being the Lord of the land, or the whatever you want to call them. And it doesn't bother me as an individual because as I learn the truth, they begin to disappear. How can they come into an area of truth with their lying self? I don't go to church because there's too many lies in there. Too much vibrations will never work with me in a church. I've already tried it with my mother. I told her I don't want to go in there. She said, "You're going to go in with me." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She was about 85 years old. She passed at 93. And every time I went to Minnesota, I went to church. And I had an experience every time I went in there. She began to see it, but no big deal. Preachers can't lie when truth is in there. They can't stand up there and talk all that yang and all that pounding and crazy crap. If somebody with knowledge of self are in there. All right. So what I'm getting at and what I'm talking about, I'm working my way to the alternative to black history. And there are answers to our demise. And we don't need boulets to tell us. We don't need civil rights all-stars like a damn Jesse Jackson, that bunch of liars. We don't need Jack Lake preachers. If you desire to go that way, stay that way, please do. Just leave me alone. Don't worry about it. I won't, well, yeah, I guess I can respect you because that's your view. So you go ahead and do that. No big deal. But I'm trying to free myself before I get out of here so I can free my family and leave them something to be desired. I know how to do it. It just takes time to put it together. And I want to teach this to whoever will listen to this. But there are things that you have to do. Number one, you got to want it. That's the main thing. To say it is one thing. Desire it is a whole different ballgame. We've been lied to too long, too much, too regular. Some that lied knew it. Others that lied thought they was telling the truth. You can't hold everyone responsible because I believe most of them didn't have any idea what the hell they was talking about. They come out of a book. And they passed the class and got privileges because of the book. They got a good job, a good income because of the book. They memorized the book. Peckerwood rewarded them, told them to go out and teach it. And that's what they did. And they became so-called successful. Now, I've often wondered why we as blacks have been placed in this hocus-pocus trick bag. And I looked at some information that gave me the knowledge of, and it was in it came from the Holy Quran. I didn't come up with this. It came from the Holy Quran, and it made a lot of sense. So we're talking about the Holy Quran, and we're talking about the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. And we're looking at section 16. And it says, though sin and disobedience, through sin and disobedience, every nation had suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. I love it when I hear brothers say, whatever your forefather was, you are. But the system strives to make you a nigger. They don't want you to become what your forefathers were. And the more I search for that answer, the more I see that my forefathers were truly power bases and truly feared by the European. The Moorish Science Temple of America has a constitution and the bylaws of Article 6 with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a partial of this government, this said government. And we're talking about United States. I know nobody wants to be a part of that, but I'm going to explain that because we're talking the unity. There was all right. So far, I've only talked about United States. 13 colonies was United States. I want to find out, and I think I know when it was, but I want to find out some specific literature or research that gave them, European, the right to include America into or along with United States. I know they began to be called United States of America in 1871, but who gave them permission to do that? And if we were in power in the antebellum, that was before the Civil War, so my date of that would be before the Senate, and the Senate happened in 1860, February, I think, of 1860, was when they so-called walked out of Congress. So I want to know, and I guess I'm asking, who gave them permission to unify United States with America? Then they changed two words, the Constitution for the people of United States for America. They changed it to the Constitution of the people of United States of America. Who told them to do that? The of came in after the corporation, and the for, F-O-R, was taken out. Constitution for the people. That's what the original was. For the people, by the people. They changed it to of the people. Took all of the control, all of the power, all of the leadership of the Constitution. They took it away from you. Well, the Constitution was never set up for us anyway, in the beginning. Never. Had nothing to do with us. But we put two articles in the Constitution to keep them honest. That was the 6th and the 3rd. Article 3 and Article 6 are the only two articles in the entire Constitution that you need to know about. We are in, we in hell. If you were part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. This is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. And the word Negro, black, colored, was given to the Asiatic of America, who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and fathers, and strayed away from the gods, and strayed away the gods of Europe, of whom they know nothing. And strayed, I missed that word, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. That's where we are today. We don't know nothing about Jesus. And I have a book that I'm going to sell and ask a donation for at the lecture. It's called What Our History Books Fail to Tell Us, or Tell You. I'm going to have about 20 books. I think I got about 15, I believe. And this is the book where they reveal to you on September the 5th, 1774, the Moors were a divided and defeated nation here in North America. On that date, the 13 European colonies or nations met in a Philadelphia building known as Carpenter's Hall. It was a Masonic convention. The meeting or conversation or convention was originally called the Odd Fellows Convention, according to the European history books. But it became known as the First Continental Congress. That's in that revision history again. They went back to change it because they knew that we were coming. Once we learned to read, they knew that their whole process would start falling apart. The meeting or convention was originally called the Odd Fellows. Now, you know what an odd fellow is. Odd fellow, you don't see them much anymore, but those are real old peckerwoods that on a sunny day will come out and sell those little four-leaf clover-looking things on the corners right out in the middle of the street with a can. They're known as odd fellows. Where they go and what they're about, I have no idea. But I do know it's a fraternal order. And anytime they say fraternal order, it's a secret to keep you, two-way secret, to keep you in slavery and to promote white supremacy. That means them damn frats, police department, fraternal order, those frats and sororities, fraternal order, that's all they are. They have two goals. They don't know it. You bring it up, they're gonna say, "Well, no, that ain't what it's about." Especially them females. They talking about getting jobs. We gonna network. That's what this for. That's what they'll say. We are together to network. Yeah, all of them are light complected. You ever notice that? The goal of the fraternal order, the sorority, is to promote white supremacy, white racism, and or create and support and keep you in bondage. That's the only goal of the two. Some do it well, some don't do it as good. But all of them are doing the same thing. Okay? George Washington was elected chairman of the convention. In Masonic term, he was the Grand Master. Two of the main issues which were disclosed and discovered and debated were, one, how were the 13 colonies going to form a united front against King George III of England? Number two, how were the 13 colonies going to justify the institution of perpetual slavery of the Moorish inhabitants and population, whom were renamed by the European nation with names such as Indian, all its crap made up, Negro, black, colored, etc. The 13 colonies agreed to strip the Moors of their nationality and birthrights, which was an act of European psychology. The European colonists gave the Moorish population the slave marks of Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian, Indian. And the European colonists defined these slave marks as something inferior to the name white. Now remember, all of this is put in the history books. All of this was put into your school books. You had no idea that this was a gigantic conspiracy to keep you in bondage. And every time you deny it or tell me I'm a lie, you might as well pat that peckerwood on his head. Job well done. Because you don't have a damn thing. You have nothing. Why is that? Okay. So, here we are. I should go and see if we got any calls. Here we are. The European colonies define white as a color of purity and define black as representing everything evil, anything evil. White and black were also used as legal statuses. Wow. White meant that you were a citizen or person. The black meant that you were not a citizen. Actually, 3/5 of a person. When the Moorish population accepted the inferior slave marks of Negro, colored, and black, the Moorish inhabitants cut themselves off from the illustrious history of their forefathers, who were the founders of the first civilization of the old world. The Moorish forefathers did not form the slave marks, Negro, black, and colored. The inferior names or identities marked the Moors as an inferior class of beings whom had been subjected to slavery. You know, it's ironic that they would divide people and create the masses. We're talking about the majority of people in America, as far back as before Columbus, 1492, were black. They were conniving enough to create differentiations and even threw in white Christians, Moors, Jews, Indians, Ethiopians. They could see they knew the difference. The Negroes came under a certain code and or policy. How did you become a Negro? He just said it. Remember I told you, all Moors are black. All people of color are Moors. But all Moors are not of color. Turn it around. All Moors are black, but all blacks are not Moors. I'm saying that in 2015 because this thing is so confused and so scrambled due to miscegenation. Rape, you can call it rape, you can call it anything you want. But it's so screwed up, you don't really know who is who and what is what. Because the white blood that's in most of us, we know it's in us. Sometimes we will act accordingly. You got some blacks out there that's blacker than me and hate my guts. Let me say where I'm at. Hate my guts. Why would you hate me? Because I make the whites feel uncomfortable. Because I'm always going to tell the truth. You got Negroes trained not to tell the truth. Don't embarrass that peg. And then about 5 years ago when he came out with that political correctness, I didn't believe that would even work. But to my demise, not only did it work, you got black folks that will literally jump all over you. You bring up issues that would make the Peckerwood uncomfortable. Who ever heard of such madness? The hell I care about that punk. Wow. But you know it's there. You don't have to admit it, because I'm the one that's saying it. The Moorish forefathers did not form the slave marks of black and colored and Negro, the inferior names and identity marks of the Moors, as an inferior class of beings whom had been subjected to slavery. They actually thought that white people were literally smarter than blacks. So when the white would mix with black, if the baby was light complected, he was more intelligent than the black one, the black child. You got some of that crap going on today. You tell the lie long enough. Hitler told you that. Somebody going to start believing that mess. Told this lie over 400 years. I don't care. Put any number on it. Yesterday, one day is too much. And the reason it's too much because you didn't say anything about it. Scared you're going to get a bad grade. Scared they're going to put you out of class. All that kind of crap. We need divine invention to deal with this. But I don't think we'll get divine invention unless we make the first step that we want divine invention. And how do you do that? Telling the truth. The marks of the slave names would forever disqualify and rob Moors from their free person or citizens, in the true sense of the meaning of which the term free person is used in the Articles of Association, Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence, the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, and the present-day Constitution of the United States of America. They use terms. This is why you got to start calling those idiots out there. Don't you? Let me see. How can I say this? You know we got some sorry people in our race. Ain't no need you trying to act like it ain't there. I think your job is to tap them and attempt to wake them up. I think that would be in divine order. I won't pass up anyone, but I'm not going to give my life for someone that don't want to be freed and are educated and are enlightened. There you go. Damn educated. Let's call it enlightenment. Now, you can tap them any way you want, but I think you are obligated to at least tap them one time. If your response is on the negative side, I would claim for you, say to you, get the hell out of there. Get out of Dodge. And whatever happens to that punk or punkist, they deserve it. Because you can't lose your life trying to save them if they don't want to be saved. Come on now. But again, you are obligated, I think, to at least try. Take them to the water. Show them where the water is. You can't hold them down there and make them drink it. The strategy of the plan or conspiracy of the Europeans, which they used, is as follows. The Moors were ever, if the Moors were ever emancipated, don't forget now, we ain't even in the 1800, when Lincoln supposedly emancipated, proclamated them niggas. If they're ever emancipated or set free in the future, the Moors would remain subjective or dominated by Europe, by the European race. And this is why Allah, prophet, was, this is why Allah's prophet was ordained, Noble Drew Ali, peace be unto him, to come free us from this grip of the pale-skinned nation of Europeans who are governing our proportion of our land at this time, who are governing a portion of our land at this time. The prophet knew full well about how the Sultan tricked the European with what they thought was a treaty, which was nothing more than a land grant. And that is why the prophet said the Europeans went to the Moroccan government. This is deep, y'all. And asked for permission to come here and develop this land. They were given a 50-year mandate. That's like a mortgage to do so. Then the European went to the old sheik and asked him to give them some people to help them to develop this land. The sheik told them, take those Moors, or better yet, take them niggas that's over there, because they ain't going to do anything. Good God Almighty. All of this is in divine order. But we are in this place at this time to do this job because the Creator ordained it. I'll always believe that. And it's time now for us to stand up and be counted. All right, we got 10 after. Let me check and see. I get cranked up here and miss some of. We got a couple of callers. I mean, yeah, we got several callers, but we got one that want to talk. As soon as we come back from break, we will let this person talk, and we'll take a quick break here. And if anyone has any questions, be sure and call 718-506-1864. Or you can go in the chat room, and the chat room is open. All right? And I'm still looking for a caller. I got a caller here. Let me check my other board first, and I'll come back to the caller. Everything is in order. This is one of the first days. Oh, I forgot one thing, and that is I forgot to turn on the recorder, but we got it on another one. Okay. But let me there we go. Let me go over and take this call, and then we will come back. Caller, area code 314. You have a question or comment?
I'd like to have a comment.
Yes, caller.
Just to add on. Hey, this is Brother Sire. How you doing, sir?
Yes, sir, Brother Sire. How are you?
Okay.
How are you today?
All right. I'm doing great. You're very compassionate today, man. I love it. I wanted to just elaborate on when things happen in history, and as we finding out this, and we finding out what this beast has been doing, particularly this European. But we always have to remember, that's like we looking at the cause, but we have to go before that too also and understand the cause and effect in that. And what I'm saying is this is key. Remember, the Europeans, they have sex with animals and all that. They do all these excruciation, these dirty, nasty things, right? Okay, we supposed to created them. According to what I learned as a Moor, learning from the Moors, that we created this thing called a Neanderthal, a troglodyte nigger, or androgynous, or terratrogen, a beast, a monkey. Hold that thought. Now, the Iroquois Confederacy and all the indigenous autochthon across the west of the land of the Americas, looking at this like, wait a minute, We're not finna have sex with animals. Think about that. When they fought the power tank, we're not finna mix our blood with that, because to mix our blood, that's a nationality. That's a spiritual divine intervention. Check that out. That's mixing alchemic genes, ancient, for elements of God eternal. We knew not to do nothing like that. See, this is what the karma comes back on that. For those who betrayed us, that's what it was. We was betrayed when some of us did that. That was the ultimate thing not to do. We could teach it, we could do everything else with it, but we could not let that thing intervene in our blood, or our blood intervene with it, because it got more intelligent that way. Check that out. That's how he became more intelligent. Think about it. He didn't know shit. And all such a thing that didn't know anything, which was a monkey, come to be basically ruling you right now. You think about that. Because he mixed his blood. He mixed that melanin or carbon in him. That's what it is. That's why he needs your blood every day, all day long, because it has the hieroglyphics. It has the information that is ancient, current, and future. That's what's going on. He's inside us, literally. And we have not been responsible to look at, we having sex with animals? You think about that. And we're still having sex with it to this day. And I'm in Chicago, and I seen a poster. They got an old poster called A Different World. That's an old 90s sitcom. Well, they got that posters all around Chicago showing them with Dwayne Wayne with the high yellow mulatto girl kissing him, saying it's a different world. That's why they're putting all these half-breeds in. They're selling you the same thing happened around Lincoln time and all that. They're doing it over again. They have to do the same script. Remember, like everything else, they have to do the same script. Hollywood, they have to do it over and over again. They're doing the Lincoln. We're going through the Lincoln thing. We're going through the library codes again right now, as we speak. And what they do, they infiltrate where indigenous or Choctaw people are, and they put their municipal corporations on it. Like I'm from St. Louis, where Ferguson is, Berkeley, and Hazelwood, all that out there. Guess what? Berkeley, Ferguson, Hazelwood, all that, those surrounding cities, that's around Kinloch. That's Kinloch. That was Kinloch before those municipal incorporations came there. That's how they got their names, Ferguson, Berkeley. Them are corporations that come on our land. And we became incorporated under the UNIA through Marcus Garvey. What was their names before Kinloch? Kinloch was a self-sufficient city itself that blew up way just as much as Black Wall Street without a banking system. Check that out. It was a bordering city, within themselves, a natural corporate way of living. I sent you some of this information to look into. This is serious. That's what it's all about. They go around the country and invade put it like this, there's still Black Wall Streeting us, literally. Wherever we come to conscious at, like we doing now, and we start building a community again, they come and infiltrate it and tear it down. The word moral is a misnomer. It's a description of us. That is not a nation. There is no law book will tell you that. There is nowhere in the world that will tell you that. That's a description of us. We had many names that spoke from our tongue. Them crackers can't pronounce that. So that's why the proclamation of Harold Washington and Robert Marion put that proclamation out to stir us up. And remember, they playing a revising game on us. Yeah, it's true that we are Moors in the context of the history, but that's why they use that word Moor specifically in those proclamations. Check that out. Why? Because we didn't call ourselves Moors. We didn't call ourselves all in the West, all the way to California. We had different tongues. We were speaking Arabic, Latin, this, other tongues, ancient tongues. We will not call ourselves that. That's a spiritual thing that interface with the earth and the land. See, we missing the spiritual part in all this, the connection. That's why why did they name it the Libra codes? Why? Because they dealing with the Libra. I sent you about that from the Red Fox article. And then the Virgo, those two signs, them are the compatible signs or the parallel sign. I told you about that. All that led to this. We not being honest that we the one made ourselves fall. We broke the code. We messed up big time when we had sex with the European. We taught it, but when we had sex with it, that's when we truly failed. And the Iroquois Confederacy knew that. And the other people that was with them, they didn't want some of us wanted to mix with. That's what the fight was between us. Use common sense. You don't need all the books to realize that.
Yeah. But listen, the only thing we can do today is enlighten and educate our people as to who we are, where we're coming from, and where we got to go. That's why you hear me now saying more of divine invention than we've ever had, because this thing is so deep and so complex that I know I can't solve it. I'm not even trying to solve it. All I'm trying to do is my little part, and I know you doing your little part. So all we can do is just keep that going.
How significant you are. Let me tell you how significant you are in this. Until I started listening to you, that brought me to this level of consciousness, brother. Check that out. Your leads brought me to every goddamn thing that I'm saying right now. How about that?
Whoa. That's a lot you putting on me, but I've heard that from a lot of people. Because these last couple of shows, people are beginning to wake up, and they are telling me, they say, Ron, I don't know where you getting it and how you saying it, but I'm beginning to understand that we are definitely in a hocus-pocus trick bag, and we need to get busy and try to get ourselves together. So all I can do is just keep bringing you the news. And you being such an enlightened, brother.
Yeah, I know the heavyweight,
you are such an enlightened. Okay.
It ain't about being a heavyweight. It's about what is the true substance that's going to push us forward. That's the real heavyweight.
Well,
and it might come from your granddaughter. You know what I'm saying?
It might come from where?
It might come from your granddaughter, somebody. We don't know where it comes from.
Oh, yeah.
We got to know when it comes.
We don't know. Yes. All we can do is enlighten ourselves and know self. That's all we can do. All right, brother, I got another call. Just popped in. I appreciate your call. I know you on top of it. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. Yes, caller, you're on the line. Area code 913. You have a question or a comment to the show today?
Yes, sir. Peace, Mr. March. I'm Nathan out of Kansas.
Peace.
Yeah, I've just been waking up, and I'm about in my 60s, and I just been waking up. But been asleep a long time. But once that consciousness, once you start getting that God consciousness, you know a lot of things come to you. You know it's right.
Brother, yes, you're totally correct.
Right.
I've been conscious for at least 20 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm at different levels. I was in the Nation Islam for most of that time, and I'm learning some things now that, man, everything's a fix, So,
yes. Yes.
I just
but don't get angry.
Yeah.
Yes. But listen to me. Let me help you a little bit and say don't get angry, because everything you've learned to this point is helping you wake up.
Right.
So when you hear, because there's going to be somebody behind me, just like that last caller said. It might be a granddaughter. I got a great grandson that's 2 years old. This guy is so cool. It's pathetic, and he's smart as a whip. So he might be the one that's got the answer to Doc. You see what I'm saying? So all we can do is just stay on target. Stay on target.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to. I made it my mission to enlighten my family. All of them. I'm going to tell them all because they all in darkness, you know. So we have the light. That's our duty, to bring our families out of darkness. And I give you one example of things that are coming to me because I know you taught on Popeye. And so I asked myself, I said, now why did he use that spinach? I said, why is the spinach? What's that? And that's it. They put a spin on it. He put a spin on it to make him always look like on top. And that's what this man doing right today, putting a spin on everything to make himself look on top. Like he got some power.
I'm on it. The brother that called before you brought up Popeye, is a town down there in Missouri called, or it's either in down there in Missouri or Southern Illinois, called Chester, Illinois, and that's where Popeye is. Yeah. And I'm gonna see if you know anything about that. Did you check? Sound like you checked it out, brother. When I found that out, boy, I grew up in the 50s, you know, so I know a lot of that, and a lot of what you're saying. You know, you're not too much older than me, but anyway, I'm gonna let somebody else get on. I want you to talk more about the Nation of Islam, you know, because I'm still trying to get untangled, you know, from that. All right. Okay, that's good. That's good. I got that email. Right. You be sending me blogs, you know, I'm on your email list, so I'll be sending you some more donations. All right. All right, brother. Appreciate you. Okay. Yeah. All right. Unbelievable. All right. Now, you know, I will not. I didn't want to say it to him, but I'm going to say it. I know he listened. I will not talk against any organization that has yes, I will. I will talk against it. But you got to be selective because we have always been fighting among ourselves. And I think the best way to deal with these other groups, and I'm talking about the Moorish Science Temple, I'm talking about the Nation of Islam, and surely I'm talking about NAACP and all that trash over there on that side. But I think it's best that we just continually study ourselves and move higher than they are. That's what you need to do. You don't need to attack. You don't need to tear down or even use their names, you know, in a negative tone. We got some heavyweights that are Moors. I got a good brother that I deal with, and he's having problems with some of these heavyweights that have always been out on Front Street as to know all there is to know about the Moors until this brother and I, start reading into certain things, more him than me. But my thing is, once I look at stuff, if it don't fit, I don't give a damn who's telling it to me. I'll try to make it fit. Now, I can say this in hindsight of goodwill. A lot of times it don't fit because I'm not ready for it. That don't make it wrong. That don't make it be something that I shouldn't have. I just ain't ready for it. That caller, we got a caller that called today, and this cat's so deep, I don't know how he does what he do. But a lot of the stuff, I know what he's saying, but I'm not ready for a lot of it. I don't turn it down. I don't discourage him because he will tell you that he's being enlightened by what I do. So who am I to try and make it sound like something to the negative? But you got to look at it the way it is, and that is, if you hear it and it fits, reach and get it. If you hear it and it don't fit, don't attack it. Leave it alone. Because number one, it could be misinformation. Number two, it could be a trap. But number three, maybe you're not ready for that information at that particular time. Everything is done in divine order. I know that for a fact. I'm not 73 years old sitting there running my mouth at you youngins out there, because I know more than you do. I'm trying to be something that I ain't. I know this is all in divine order for me to be here. And I know what my job is, to tell it. I'm just like a broken refrigerator. I can't keep nothing. Once I get it and get it fixed, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. So let's all stay positive, because knowledge comes to you in that way. Let's stay positive. Let's not try and create a argument or disagreement with someone or something. We don't need it. And I mean that to be a fact. Stay on the positive side. Always look for the righteousness in it. Since the Creator is over everything, there's got to be something righteous in the worst situation on earth. If you look hard enough, you're going to see something righteous in there. And you need to deal with that on that plane. Other than that, let's not start no war, because it's going to come to that. Listen to me. We've been lied to so long, and some of our so-called leaders have been making so much money off of our ignorance. They despise an individual like me, because now you're going to start asking questions. I told a brother one time, he was having a problem on his job, and I made a mistake because I enlightened him. And once I realized I had made a mistake, I told him, you must learn how to punk out. You have antennas. There's some invisible antennas that come out when you get into those certain particular situations. And those antennas can be picked up by them. You know, it's like an aura. A-U-R-A. Look that word up, aura. Aura is a film of color, invisible color, that surrounds you. And your moods change the colors. Europeans love to keep that mood in a dull color, because they can become kings and queens if that aura stays dark. Once that aura becomes bright, they cannot stay in your zone. Y'all listen to me. I'm giving you facts. Why is it a fact? Because I've lived it, and I know it, and I use it all the time. You can go into a place like a restaurant, and you get out of your car, you walk, say you and your spouse, you walk to the front, step inside the restaurant, and everyone in the restaurant will turn and look towards the door. Why do they do that? They knew you were coming before you got there. When you go to work and the clock starts, you punch in at 7, but at 7:05, you're standing there talking about the football game that happened on Sunday. When the boss come in and look over there, he'll look around to find his Uncle Remus ass nigga and whistle, go break that up. Because the vibrations is too strong. Y'all don't look at stuff like that. He can't even come in that corner of the building. When he got out of the car in the parking lot, he knew something was going on inside his plant. He's the owner. He knew something was going on. And as soon as he stepped in the door, he saw it. Over by the water fountain, over by the bathroom, smoking that last cigarette. Should be on the line. Nobody's in the hole, because everybody, a black cat can catch up every day. But when that European step in there and see it, he turns immediately and look for his snitch, that old Uncle Remus ass nigga. And sometimes he'll tell him, other times he pop his finger and point. And nigga know what to do. Hey, man, y'all better go to work. The boss is in. That type of shit. Ah! I can feel y'all laughing. Yeah, it does. Yes, you know I'm right. Yeah, y'all better go to work. The boss is in. You know how he is. Y'all take off like a bunch of punks. And if it keep happening, the boss is going to ask that snitch, find out who calls him meetings in the morning. Oh, that's that Ron March. He over there talking shit. He said, oh, yeah, well, we going to get rid of Ron. Because he might wake them other niggas up, and then I can't make no money. Oh, help me, somebody. Help me. Yes, that's a fact. That ain't something that somebody told me. I've lived that too many times. So, we are in, where we at, time-wise? Okay. Plenty of information. This Virginia. See, when I do my presentation, I'm going to hand out flyers so that people can look and keep up, and then go home or buy the DVD. We're going to sell it. We're going to try to sell the DVD. And you can play the DVD at home, but at the same time, you can have your notes, and I'm going to give them to you. And I'm telling you now, this Virginia company was the first 13 colonies. And a lot of the rules, laws, statutes, ordinances came out of that 16. When I tell you it started, 1606. Yes. And we're talking about the mulattoes. I got some information here. Relabeling the Indians into mulattoes. Think about that. October of 1705, an act declaring who shall not bear office in this country. Now, the country, they got to be talking about the colony of Virginia, because they didn't have a country. The text of this act suggests that a free man of color did hold an office sometimes before October of 1705. The text of this act suggests that a free man of color did hold an office sometime before October of 1705. But when the Virginia set up their rules, the statute contains the first definition of a mulatto in Virginia laws. This is interesting. Be it enacted and declared, and it is hereby enacted and declared, that the child of an Indian and the child or grandchild or great-grandchild of a Negro shall be deemed, accounted, held, and taken to be a mulatto. Be it enacted or declared, and it is hereby enacted and declared, that the child of an Indian, so we're talking about the race of a Negro, but I still ain't figured out, they haven't defined Negro, but if a Negro has a child, and the child, grandchild, or great-grandchild shall be deemed and accounted and held and taken to be a mulatto. So if an Indian and a Negro miscegenate and have a child, and then they even going back, child, grandchild, or great-grandchild, the offspring shall be called a mulatto. This is a statute at large, volume 3, page 250, 251, and 252. These are the rules, the laws that set up that first, I told you, that first colony. I think the statute at large predates Wikipedia. Note the Virtue Jamestown site says this: 1705 law was the first definition of a mulatto in Virginia laws. And it states, the child of an Indian shall be deemed, accounted, held, and taken to be a mulatto. Now, you know what Jamestown was supposedly the first, I think Jamestown was Plymouth, had something to do with them damn pilgrims. Now, that was in Virginia. Now, in South Carolina, mulatto and free person of color, not Negro. I didn't know. Y'all see how this is so complicated, complex. The use of racial and ethnic terms in America, Management by Manipulation. It's a book, page 58 and 59, by Jack Forbes. In 1857, he jumped. Back in 1705. A Williams Shavers was charged as a free person of color of carrying or with carrying a shotgun. Shavers was able to win this case eventually because he is charged as a free person of color, whereas the act that I just read makes it a penal or for any free Negro to carry arms. He was a free person of color. Free persons of color may be persons colored by Indian blood. The indictment cannot be sustained. Man, in 1719, South Carolina decided who shall be an Indian for tax purposes, since American slaves were taxed at a lesser rate than African slaves. The act stated, and for preventing all doubts and scruples that may arise, what ought to be rated a mestizo, mulatto, etc. I said to myself, I was going to look up that mustee. I don't know what that is. All such slaves are not entirely Indian shall be accounted as Negro. This is in 1700. So if they were having a problem in 1700, what do you think the problem was with that damn Abraham Lincoln in 1860? This was over 100 years earlier that they were having problems, trying to differentiate between colors, or better yet, between people. Mulattoes, Negroes, colors, Jews, and all of that stuff. Woo. This is an extremely significant passage because it clearly asserts that mestizos and mulattoes were persons of part American ancestry. My judgment, to be discussed later, is that a mestizo was primarily part African and American, and that the mulatto was usually part European and American. But who in the hell was the American? The act is also significant because it asserts that all part Americans with or without African ancestry shall be counted as Negroes, thus having an implication for all later slave census. I got to do research, y'all. You see how they've created another individual, an American. The Indian, there's a difference between an Indian and an American. African and an American. I need to go and get a old Black Laws Dictionary. I got the first edition, and look up American. I'm going to do that and get that definition down. Wow. Oof. All right. I'm wondering if we have any questions. I'm wondering if we have any question. You can call in area code 718-506-1864. 718-506-1864. And you can get a view or fix on today's show if you have any questions, because we're getting close to the top of the hour. And we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So, all of this information is going to be very interesting next week when I do my lecture, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. I do it openly. And there was no constitution, so they had to set up their own individual rules and regulations. And notice that the Virginia company, let me see if I got a list. That would be something I can do before we go out. The 13 colonies. Got to remember where I put that. The 13 colonies were, I got to put it so I can understand and read it. I don't see my 13 colonies. I got a list of all of the colonies, the dates, and the names of the owners of the colonies. And I don't really see it. Right? Yes, now. So what I got to do is be sure and put it where I can pull it up. I know I got it. Just a matter of where did I put it. But I have a lot of information that I would love to share with you. Because I believe if we can clear
Give me 2 seconds there.
Constitution of United States of America. That's the criminal.
Sorry, I got.
You cut it off? Okay. All right.
Keep going. I got disconnect. We got disconnected. Keep going.
Oh, all right.
We're back.
All right. I was looking for my calendar but I was looking for my collection of the colonies original. And I don't have it, but I got to get everything in order for next week. So we'll be able to deal with that. But anyway, we're going to create a new nation, and it's going to be a sophisticated nation. And it's going to be a simple nation, because the homework or the creation of this new nation, everyone has to do its part to be a part of it. And if you can't do your part, you can't be a part of it. It's not going to be complicated, because every move you make is going to get you closer. Whoa! It's going to get you closer to freedom. And I think I have the information to make it to freedom. And we can discuss it, but I'm going to lay it out. And I'm going to start having classes again. I will announce that at the lecture. The classes will start and where they'll be, and we'll go from there. So until next week, a Tuesday, when I have this guest or this black talk show host, and there's two different ones, that's why I'm calling it Black Talk Radio, out of Alabama, will be with me. Duck Wylam is his name. I spoke to him briefly last week, and we're going to do a piece together. And we're just going to go at it bootleg, if you will. We're going to just go at it. That'll be Tuesday. So prepare to stay a little longer, because he's not coming in until, I wish I could get this thing straight. I believe Alabama is on a different time zone. They're on Chicago's time zone, which makes their 9 o'clock. I'm not going to even try to wrestle with it because I'm not sure. So anyway, just tune in next week, and when you get in, I will give you the information because I'll be waiting on him to call. So until next week, let's get out of here. I got music. I don't know if I'm still on. I got a caller that's calling in. Let me see what's happening. Got time to do one call. I got him still here. There you go. Yes, caller.
Yeah, Ron. I wanted to say something about when you was naming out the Jews inside of that, when you were saying about why the white folks from England and the Europeans included the Jews, because at that time the Jews was as dark as us. That's why they included the Jews in that.
Okay. I believe that. But some of them are not dark as us, but they are of color.
Right.
How about turning your radio down?
Okay.
Or whatever. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, today there are several groups of Jews that are of color. So, and you know that during the Reconstruction, they had signs, no Jews, no niggas, and no dogs.
That's
so they were
right.
kicking them out all the time. You know. So yes, I hear you and I agree with you.
Because they was as dark as we were. And so if you look at the original Jews, not these Jews that's pretending to be Jews now that look like the Europeans, they're not the original Jews anyway. So you have to go by the fact that back then in 1600, the Jews looked at almost like us. So they was close to our race, and they was a color.
Complexion, yes.
They was a color complexion, and that's why they was excluded.
Yes, I agree. But that's something.
Yes,
and a lot of people
don't understand. And a lot of people don't understand that the original Jews were almost the same complexion as we are. So when they started mingling with the Europeans, they started, and the Russians, well, they European anyway, they started getting lighter, just like they did the Indians. They started when they came over here, they started having sex with the Moors over here, and that's created the Indians.
Yes.
And they just a black person, just a black person. You know, I mean, and you know, sometimes I don't understand how stuff come to me, but I know when it's right, and it just comes to me and tell me that these are the things that happen, and why the things is the way they are, and why the European is still trying to lie to us today, but he can't. Once you become awakened, things will come to you.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And it sounds like you wide awake, sister. So stay
I'm trying
with
to be. I still got a long way to go, but I'm trying to get there. But I will get with you on Facebook, though. I will get with you in your room.
Okay. Good enough.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Stay in touch.
Bye-bye.
All right. Peace. All right, good people. I'm out of here. We over the hour, and we got some callers, but there's no more questions. So let's wait until Tuesday. I'll be back Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday I'll be live. So until then, I'm out of here.